Sophie Hardy and the Internet Implant by M.R. Dale. Narrated by Leona Hall. Epilogue 1. 10 years ago, 60 minutes before the departure. I can't get you out immediately, the woman Desmeralda only knew as Jane said to her calmly, but I can look to get it done as soon as possible. I just need you to stay here for a few nights first. In this horrible cesspit of a prison, Desmeralda replied, not quite believing what she was hearing. I haven't done anything wrong, have I? She asked, almost oblivious to what was going on. She could remember she was putting her baby boy, Kingsley, to bed when a changeling, a mythical that stole children in the night, had blown the side of her house away and tried to take her son. Fortunately, this Jane had shown up and somehow prevented the changeling from spiriting away her only child to the underworld. She couldn't thank her enough, but now she was being locked up for what she could see as just looking after her son. There's a chance that because we stopped the changeling from spiriting away mid-flow, that some of her powers might have rubbed off on you. It was a pretty large explosion. We need to look at you. There isn't enough room in our medical wards at the moment, but we will keep you safe in here. Everything you're going through should have been dealt with by someone else. I'm sorry, I'm not completely familiar with your case. Her calm demeanour reassured Desmeralda at first, but as Jane went on, she became less and less relaxed. But what about my darling boy? Desmeralda asked. He's fine. He's being looked after by the very best. Would you like to see him? Jane asked. My God, yes. Desmeralda sighed, the biggest sigh of relief since her ordeal had started. Jane put her finger to her ear as she shepherded Desmeralda into what would be her temporary home for the next few nights. Send the boy to the PDA. Yes, that boy. As Jane moved to the exit and slid the door shut on her cell, she handed Desmeralda a tiny computer screen, no bigger than a mobile phone. On it was a video feed of her son. He was laughing and being looked after by two kind-looking older people. Oh, my boy, I'll see you soon, Desmeralda whispered, kissed her hand and touched the screen. Where am I? Desmeralda asked, feeling more assured that her son was okay. We call it Zatvor, Jane replied. There are some dangerous creatures in here. You may have seen some on the news. We shall seal you in so that none of them can get to you, and we will have you out in no time. Mere seconds later, she heard Jane whisper, She's in. Lock it up. Desmeralda moved for the door. You'll have me out soon, though, won't you? She pleaded. Of course we will, Jane replied. We will get you back to your son as soon as possible. If you show any side effects, though, you need to let an agent know by pressing the button on that device. Jane pointed to the PDA she had just given to her. What kind of side effects? Desmeralda assumed Jane was talking about what had happened in the explosion when the changeling had disappeared. However, she had no idea what these potential side effects were. You'll possibly have visions of the one child you want the most. In your case, Kingsley. This is primitive changeling behaviour. They become fanatical about one child until they have spirited them away to the underworld. The power dampeners here at Zatvor should hopefully just limit you to having visions. We will have you out before anything else more dramatic happens. So I'll be able to see my son? She asked excitedly. Potentially, but that would mean that you have merged with the changeling in much more of a complex way. Jane quickly destroyed what Desmeralda was seeing as a blessing. Worst of all, you might even get the power to spirit people away, but that will definitely be kept calm by the dampeners we have here, which limit all creatures' powers. With tears in her eyes, Desmeralda hoped this would only be temporary, and so agreed to sit down in the cell and keep herself to herself for the short time she would be here. She had seen some distinctly unappealing characters on the walk through the prison to her cell. Thank you, she said to Jane, who simply nodded. Remember, press the button if you feel anything unusual, were Jane's parting words. Desmeralda turned away from the door and sat down on her bed. The walls were brown. Noises reverberated all around her. Squeals, screams and howls adorned the air. It's only temporary, she said to herself. She tried her best to recall what had happened. Having heard a noise coming from her son's room, she had ventured upstairs to find this demon standing over him. It was hideously deformed. Its nose dominated the small part of its face she saw. The rest was hidden by long, greasy brown hair and the hood of its cloak. The hand that emerged from under the cloak had only 3 stumpy fingers each and was smothered in warts. She then remembered the cackle that emanated from its mouth as it began to spirit away her son to the underworld. It sent a shiver down her spine, and she cried for the first time since it had happened. She dried her eyes, and for a brief split second, Kingsley lay there on the bed next to her. Knowing this was her first vision, Desmeralda picked up the button and pressed it. The changeling powers were beginning. The Sophie Hardy saga was written and produced by Emma Dale and narrated and produced by Leona Hall. If you enjoyed it and would like to continue to follow the adventures of Sophie and her friends in coming episodes, then please subscribe through one of the many podcast providers out there. The links for each of these can be found on our website. If you require more information, visit our many social media channels, or if you would like to purchase a hard copy of the book, then be sure to check out www.sophiehardysaga.com. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy.